Alright, it is the last 4th gen roulette ever between Diamond Brothers, and both me and Makar have a pretty sweet team, so it's looking up to be a pretty good roulette. Anyway, we had to replay this one probably 5 or 6 times or so these first couple turns are just replays, and they're going to go by really quick. So, Poliwrath versus Lantern, just going to go for a quick discharge, not get too fancy too early, and it seemed like we always got some kind of hacks every replay on this discharge. Ended up to be a crit this time. I think it was a paralysis the first time, which will still drop Clefable's speed, although Magic Guard prevents full paralysis. But anyway, I'll take the crit, certainly, and just go into Shadow Man. He's going to take a Toxic, and this thing kind of sucks. It's got Knockoff and 4th gen. Yeah, and it's generally not very good, but we're going to see what he can do. I think he's also got Nightshade to deal some actual damage, so we're just going to knock off on whatever wants to come in, get rid of some leftovers, hopefully. And, yeah, knock off some leftovers, always useful. That's effectively, 1/16 of damage that you're doing a turn, because they're not gaining 1/16 damage, if you want to look at it that way. But, hilariously enough, I'm faster, because, it's Ninja, it's Shadow Man, it's gonna... Speedy Vs, those make sense to put into Sableye, right? Because it doesn't have Prankster in this gen. Anyway, so I get some damage on there before his sub, and now I'm going to be able to break his sub. He can't Focus Punch since I'm Ghost type, of course. So, we'll just see what else he wants to do, which looks to be just Waterfall. And I was kind of hoping I could live this, but between, I think every time, convincingly every time, I always died to Toxic there, so at least that kind of worked out. Anyway, so I'll drop in Beat, who should be faster and can threaten out with something. Could just go for obvious Air Slash. I think, though, I'm going to go for Aura Sphere. I don't fear this thing too much. Of course, Togekiss is neutral to fighting this generation, but pretty sure he's not going to pack that, so I just click Aura Sphere. And I think this might be my Metronome Togekiss. But anyway, so Aura Sphere, and it works out perfectly as T-Tar comes in. Don't really expect it to kill since T-Tar's got, massive special defense, especially in sand. But definitely is a nice thing to get him down to about 10%. So, I don't believe I run any Speedy Vs in this one, though. So I'm going to have to either attempt to outspeed him, hope he's a slower one, or just switch out. So I think I'm just going to attempt to outspeed him. And I think he told me this is actually Scarftar, so I had no chance of being faster there, even with my other Togekiss. So, anyway, so Beat goes down, but I guess that's fine. Taking out the majority of a T-Tar is pretty handy, as long as it doesn't have Rest. And I don't know if the thought of Scarf was on my mind or not at the time. I don't know if I've ever encountered a Scarftar before. That was kind of used, I think, against like Latias and stuff like that, and I have never allowed the Latis because I don't trust you to not have Soul Dew. So, anyway, thinking about what to go to here, as I'm not sure if I'm outspeeding it or not, but we just decide, screw speed, just gonna bring Grenade Man, who can probably kill it with an Earthquake, or I can just try to set up some hazards. So we'll see what I want to do. Still haven't seen too much of his team, so Quake is a little bit risky. This guy also has an extremely weak Earthquake. I think he's got close to max attack, but certainly has no attack investment, so... Anyway, just gotta go ahead and put up Stealth Rock. That's gonna do more damage over the long term. And that thing's gonna take damage from Sand, and I'm not. So I'm knocked off its lefties as well, so therefore Sand is actually hurting it, which is quite nice. So at this point, I look at what else we have, and I think I'm just going to stay in. This is, supposedly the physical wall of the team, although I believe this is the 4E that has special defense EVs, so I'm just going to Earthquake it as he tries to go for a UFP, Unprotected Focus Punch, and that does not work. And I think we're going to be able to get a 2-hit KO only due to Sand. So thank you, Sand, for making this a 2-hit KO, I think. And in fact, I think it's going to need Sand on the next turn, so he just Waterfalls, I guess, to go for a flinch and get some damage up before this thing dies. Which it does, only thanks to Sand. This thing's Earthquakes are so weak. Granted, I guess Poliwrath is not the frailest thing in the world, but still. Anyway. So, think about what to send in. Sends in Cherubim, which is Clefable again. Takes no Stealth Rock damage. Of course, that's kind of what Magic Guard does. And yeah, this thing will do absolutely nothing to Clefable. I've already set up Stealth Rock. There's no reason to spin. So we're just going to go in and pierce the heavens as he goes for an Encore. And this is actually a Choice, I think Choice Bandit. Yeah, Choice Bandit, that's the only one that really makes sense on Rhyperior, since he's slower than Aggron. Continues to go for Encore on a Choice Poke, which I find kind of funny. I don't know if he knows it's choiced or not, but he also ends up to be faster, and I'm hoping CB Earthquake kills in one shot, and it does. Rhyperior does have that, base 140 attack. He gets dumped on a lot, but base 140 attack, stab, EQ is nothing to laugh at, so... Anyway, Alakazam comes in, and this thing's kind of nice. Earthquake Choice Bandit is rather strong, so I would rather keep him around if I could. And I do have Lantern, which is supposedly a special sponge, although if you watched a couple fights ago when I used Lantern against, I've already forgotten who that was, Kote, yeah. It's a Max Bold, so it's actually that. However, fooled ya, I'm actually going into Zapdos because Zapdos has U-turn, and I believe he went for Protect right there. Was that what he did? I kind of scrolled by way too quick. So anyway, I'm just gonna U-turn out. So he does Protect now, and sees that I have Protect, and this actually ends up to be Protect disabled Alakazam. I can't remember who first popularized that set. It was somebody on YouTube. I'm pretty sure that got the credit for it. But anyway, so it works out to perfection. So he disables U-turn, which of course, super effective to Alakazam. I'm pretty sure this thing has no attack EVs. It's kind of just there for the switch initiative and whatnot. But it was a chance to hit something super effective with it that might actually deal considerable damage. So as it is, yeah, we're just going to attempt to get some T-bolts on it. We got some awesome.png for the Protect Disable Alakazam. I think the one I used to use in 3rd gen was Encore Disable, so you just have to like struggle every other turn or something like that. It's pretty funny. But anyway, Psychics and I live as expected. I guess I Discharge hoping for some paralysis, but most Alakazam in 4th I believe would have Synchronize, so that wouldn't really change anything. But I guess it'd be nicer to get both things paralyzed than not. So anyway, this thing's probably as good as dead, but he doesn't have Stealth Rock up, so there's a potential for me to come in with it later. If nothing else, I can just use it as death fodder. So anyway, now we'll go into Lantern. And as you can see from this psychic damage, this Lantern is, yeah, that does about half. So yeah, this Lantern is definitely physically bulky, not specially. But nonetheless, it should still take 2, I think. So we can fire off a whatever we want to do. It's got, 3 attacks and Heal Bell, so you can imagine what the 3 attacks are. Still looking to make, probably Discharge would be the best thing, I guess, trying to get a switch in paralyzed. If he had a ground type, he might have already gone to it on the Zapdos. So anyway, T-Tar comes in, almost dies to Stealth Rock, and we just finished up with Discharge, so cool. T-Tar is now out, and he got seriously some beastly guys. He's got Alakazam, T-Tar. I know Alakazam's not exactly the beastliest thing in the world, but it's still definitely a threat, especially when I have nothing really to outspeed it. So sends out Perseus, which is Dragonite, which takes 25% from Stealth Rock. He's got D-Knight and T-Tar. Wow. But unless it's got like CB Earthquake, I think this thing will be straight to live it. So it's just what we're gonna fire back with an Ice Beam. It's at 75%. Doesn't have multi-scale. Horrible joke. Doesn't finish it off though, but thankfully Sand goes before Lefties or whatever else he had. I think would we have seen Lefties? Possibly. Anyway, finishes off the dude, which is awesome. So Go Lantern taking down 2 600 BST guys. Good job. And then in comes a Gengar as well as the Alakazam, who's still in there remaining. So I think I'm just gonna fodder this guy off. He's not really gonna be able to switch in and do anything else. Alakazam's gonna be able to kill him. This thing's going to be able to kill him, so we may as well just try to break a sub if it wants to sub up or anything like that. So just go down to a Shadow Ball. It's perfectly fine. And this Gengar can have Paint Split. I think we saw some Life Orb there, so it could be Sub Split. Just certainly afraid of Paint Split, so I think we're going to drop in Falzer if for no other reason than it's a low HP guy, so he's not going to be able to Paint Split it or anything like that. Another thing too, we've got Sand and Life Orb, so just kind of whittling him down a little bit as I plan to drop in Rhyperior, and I believe this Rhyperior's attacks are Earthquake, Crush Claw, neither of which will affect Gengar, Aqua Tail, which could miss, so I just go for Ice Punch. And I figure, getting that little bit of extra damage on there, Zapdos is not really going to be helpful. It's not going to outspeed anything that's left, so we'll just use Zapdos to get some extra damage on there, and then Ice Punch should definitely finish it off. Unfortunately, he Destiny Bonds, which is going to take out the dude, but at least Gengar also goes down. And now we've got, I believe I've got, Fortress left against the Alakazam. I might have one other dude, but this is, as I think I mentioned earlier, my specially defensive Fortress, so I'm pretty sure going to be able to finish it off. And what I should do here is Rapid Spin first. Even though he has no hazards up, I should Rapid Spin first, so that's the thing he's going to be able to disable, and then finish him off with Earthquake. But I EQ as he protects. I guess I just wanted to make sure that he did not just go for a hit and then maybe rapid spin wouldn't do enough, something like that. So anyway, he disables EQ, but I see the disable coming and just go for rapid spin. So Sand and Lefty's going to cancel out. So thankfully Zam's got, you know, really poor physical defense, and I'm actually going to be able to take him out with a rapid spin KO. So it's going to focus blast. If this crits, it might deal enough damage, but nope, 4 tanks that very convincingly. And doesn't even need the Sand to finish him off with EQ. To finish him off with rapid spin. So you needed Sand to finish things off with Earthquake, but rapid spin, that gets the job done. So good job, Fori, and good roulette. Makat's going to be the last roulette that I get to play in 4th against another Diamond Brothers. So yeah, that was a pretty good one at that. Glad we replayed that a couple times and got it to work. So see you guys in the next one, in later days.